Hello, a very good evening to you and welcome to BBC News. The National Crime Agency is ramping up its hunt for British men who instigate child abuse in other countries via webcam. It's feared tens of thousands of children every year fall victim to the crime. A BBC investigation has found that British paediphiles are paying to watch the abuse of children in the Philippines. In one case, a British man organised the sexual abuse of 5 children from the same family. Tomorrow, the agency will reveal how it's targeting British perpetrators. The BBC's Angus Crawford travelled to Angeles City in the north of the country, a place now notorious for this kind of crime.
This street holds a secret. A house where children were sexually abused and raped by their own family.
They went to arrest.
The room where police say the abuse was broadcast by webcam to foreign paedophiles. This British man, Timothy Ford, directed the abuse from his home in the UK. A police raid in the Philippines last year, sparked by what was found on Ford's computer. He was sent to prison for 8.5 years. 12 children, the youngest just 5, were taken into care.
This one,
Some of the children are now back in the community.
This is the youngest.
Her parents are still in jail.
He's a British man who was sent to prison.
Ford planned to buy a house and open an internet cafe here for him and other paedophiles to use. But we've discovered that Ford is just one of thousands.
You can get easy money from the cybersex.
They call it cybersex. We travelled across the Philippines and found some neighbourhoods have been virtually taken over by it. The abuse of children online has become an industry driven by poverty.
Their families are engaged in cybersex business, and some other father and mother bring their children here to show and to get paid from this owner of this house.
This is Cordova in the south of the country. It's become notorious for this type of crime.
This is, in effect, the epicentre of the cybersex industry. It takes place in rooms, in houses around here, undercover. No one really talks about it. All they need is a laptop and a USB. One recent survey showed that 80 houses were involved here in the families selling their children for sex online.
This kind of webcam abuse has become rooted in the culture here, and local charities find it difficult to convince families of the harm it causes.
The customer, the client from the other part of the globe gives the instruction to touch this and touch that, kiss this and kiss that, and even send sex toys to these children so that they can use. So it's a myth that there is no touching, there is no actual contact. There is, and what's deplorable is that some of the parents or the relatives are the ones touching the children.
A couple of streets away, another home, raided and empty. A 2-year-old was rescued here. But it's something no one wants to talk about.
How can I know when their house is closed and I did not get inside their house and see what they're doing?
Here, this is where our children live.
Some children do escape the abuse, here at a shelter where they can start to recover.
They really feel small, they feel dirty about themselves.
Many are deeply traumatised. Some talk of seeing on the computer screen the foreigner who paid to watch. Tens of thousands of children are thought to be victims of online sexual exploitation. But now at least police here and around the world are tackling what charities call an epidemic of abuse. Angus Crawford, BBC News in the Philippines.
And Angus joined me in the studio earlier. He explained the scale of the problem of child exploitation in the Philippines.
These are areas that did traditionally have, if you like, a traditional sex industry where sex tourists would go. But now, as you say, the internet has opened up a whole new way, sadly, of children being abused and families making money out of it. One would have thought it was very difficult to get an internet connection in a slum area, in a poor city in the Philippines. But actually, what is so disturbing is that the whole community makes money out of this. There are middlemen who will rent laptops with USB internet connectors two families who can then very easily get online. They then go into web chat rooms. They meet in chat rooms with foreign paedophiles who then demand the services of the children. Sometimes it is the parents of these children themselves who commit the abuse. The money is then sent by international money transfer.
So how are the authorities there dealing with it, or are they dealing with it and beginning to even tackle this massive problem?
I think the beginning, that's the word. This is the very start of the international fight back against the abuse, against this wholesale exploitation of children. For the Philippine authorities, they're just beginning to wake up to just how enormous a problem it is. And for the international community, they are now beginning to understand that these are not paedophiles who have already necessarily been convicted. These are ordinary men of every age around the world, many in this country, who are carrying out the abuse. Their orders are being carried out. And we'll know a lot more about this tomorrow when the National Crime Agency here, which is the lead on trying to tackle this kind of abuse, publishes new figures about its crackdown, how it's targeting exactly these British men.
And we saw earlier that the use of Sweetie, that virtual child from the Philippines, in less than 10 weeks, it led to the identification of 1,000 men in 71 countries.
And of those, 100 were British. And this shows that there is an appalling market out there. There is a market, there is a supply, and it is growing. The problem with what happened in that original investigation was it couldn't be used in a court. It wasn't gathered in a forensic enough way to be used in courts. But we do know that international law enforcement community is using some of the same methods. And their message is very, very clear. If you want to go out there online and try and oblige a child to engage in sexual activity online, you will be seen, you will be traced, you may be caught.
Angus Crawford.